So let's talk about what's happening out on the street, okay? So I was talking to some loan officers, and, a couple things I just want to bring up and kind of talk about for a second. One of them is, there's a lot of talk out there, and you've probably seen the headlines that, it's shifted. It's now, a buyer's market for the first time in a long time. And, look, buyers see this stuff, right? They watch the news. So what we're starting to see is these buyers thinking that they all of a sudden have some leverage, and we're seeing sellers that haven't quite resigned themselves to the fact that it might be shifting to more of a buyer's market. And so you have buyers coming in asking for larger price, reductions, for concessions, for things of that nature. And the sellers just aren't quite ready to play ball. And so this is something that if I were a loan officer, I'd be talking to my real estate agents about, I'd be talking to my buyers about, have some conversations. I think if real estate folks, I'd love to hear your feedback on this. Is this what you're seeing? If you're representing sellers, what is your advice to them in a market like this? And this happens every time we go through this sort of a shift, but this is where a loan officer can play that neutral third party and give some perspective, to the buyers and help by getting information about what's going on in the marketplace. But just be aware of that, as buyers are thinking they should be getting a better deal. Sellers aren't quite ready to give that better deal in many circumstances. And so that's interesting how that's going to play out. Now, I'm getting feedback that higher end market, at least up here, where the loan officers I was talking to are up here in the Seattle market, that higher end market, 7, 8, 900,000, it's starting to heat up a little bit. And when I think of that price range, I think of move up buyers. And so this is just kind of my thought process working for itself. And I'm like, why would we start seeing an increase in move up buyers when interest rates are still really high? And a lot of these people have had that kind of lock-in effect for a very long time. Well, I think it has to do with what I just talked about, the shift from a seller's market to potentially more of a buyer's market. And if I'm a move up buyer, two things have happened. One, I've been enjoying my really low interest rate for the last number of years. But two, I've built a ton of equity in my home over the last couple of years as well. Because even though interest rates have been very high, we've still seen amazing year over year appreciation. And if you bought that house, right around the COVID time, you saw a lot of appreciation in 21 and 22. It started slowing down in 23 and 24, but it's still very, very good. So what I think might be happening here, and this wouldn't surprise me at all, we'll have to see how this plays out, but I think you have some people who've been, we've talked about this pent up demand of these people who have felt trapped in their homes because their rate's so low, but they might be seeing an opportunity start to slip away. What I mean by that is, if it really is shifting to more of a buyer's market, well, they would be a seller in that situation, right? They want to sell their house and buy a new one. They might think the timing is right to negotiate a good deal on a new home while also making sure they maximize the dollars out of the home they're selling. And maybe getting that timing right is more important than losing, their really low interest rate or potentially risking a situation where there may be some softening in the price of real estate. So I don't know. It's hard to gauge what's going on in a person's mind, but I'm anecdotally hearing that there is some things happening in that higher end market, and it tells me maybe some of these move up buyers are finally starting to loosen up, and and there could be lots of reasons why that's happening.